I'm saying that there are people that were the people that did this to both me and Corey that are still working, they're still out there, and they're some of the richest, most powerful people in this business.
And they are.
And they do not want me saying what I'm saying right now.
Roach, your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god.
What if I told you that one of the most respected men in Hollywood just stepped into the fire, and what he said could shake the entire industry? For years, people have whispered about secret lists, powerful friendships, and names hidden inside locked court documents. They've talked about influence, about protection, about who gets exposed and who somehow never does. But now, the conversation has taken a different turn, because according to new rumors swirling through Hollywood circles, Denzel Washington is no longer staying silent, and the name being dragged back into the spotlight, Oprah Winfrey.
You were on the scene and you were powerful. Like, to be honest, like if you're not in those files, it would be an insult, because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
But here's the twist nobody expected. This isn't just about Oprah. This isn't just about Jeffrey Epstein. This is about power, about loyalty, about who knew what and when. And somehow, in the middle of all this noise, one more name keeps resurfacing: Mel Gibson. The same man Hollywood once called crazy, the same man they pushed to the edge, the same man who warned everyone years ago that something dark was hiding in plain sight. Now, people are asking, was he right all along? Before we dive into what Denzel allegedly exposed, you have to understand why this story feels so heavy.
Now, Oprah is limited in the context of the files, but there is clear collusion between Oprah and Jeffrey Epstein.
Because these aren't random celebrities. These are icons, people millions trusted, people who built careers on inspiration, faith, wisdom, and strength. Denzel Washington isn't just another actor. He's respected, admired, a man who speaks carefully and rarely jumps into drama. He built his legacy through powerful roles in films like Training Day and Malcolm X. He carries himself like a man who values discipline, faith, and truth. When he talks, people listen, not because he's loud, but because he's steady.
The trial of a former dormitory matron charged with abusing 6 students at Oprah Winfrey School for Girls in South Africa is resuming. Prosecutors say former dorm matron Tina Virginia Makopo tried to kiss and fondle the girls. She's also accused of kicking and hitting some of them.
And then there's Oprah Winfrey, a woman who rose from poverty to become one of the most influential media figures in history. She built an empire on empathy, on giving people a voice, on healing conversations and life-changing interviews. For decades, she represented hope. She endorsed books that became bestsellers overnight. She turned unknown experts into global sensations. She became more than a talk show host. She became a brand of trust.
I was, needless to say, devastated and really shaken to my core. And I spoke to all the girls personally, and I encouraged all of them, any of them who had actually been harmed, to please come forward.
But here's what makes this story complicated. Oprah, like many powerful figures, has crossed paths with other powerful people. Politicians, billionaires, business leaders, and yes, controversial figures. One of those names? Jeffrey Epstein. Now, let's be clear. Being in the same social circles doesn't automatically mean guilt. Hollywood is small at the top. Billionaires attend the same galas. Celebrities sit at the same fundraisers. Photos get taken, smiles get shared. That's how elite spaces operate.
If you have abortion, that's very valuable. Umbilical cord, and placenta, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured as recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody,
Him.
And it's life for
Bush.
The best things are 16 to 18 years old. Those are the best things.
But when the Epstein documents started surfacing, people began looking at every connection differently. Every handshake felt suspicious. Every old interview started getting replayed online. Every association became a question mark. And that's when whispers started growing louder. What nobody expected was for Denzel's name to enter the conversation. According to insiders and viral online reports, Denzel has privately expressed deep frustration about how information surrounding Epstein's connections has been handled. The frustration isn't about guilt or innocence, it's about patterns, about selective outrage, about who gets publicly destroyed and who somehow survives the storm untouched.
You wrote, your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god.
And here's where Mel Gibson comes in. Years ago, Mel Gibson spoke openly about what he believed was a dark underbelly in Hollywood. He talked about corruption, about powerful circles protecting their own, about secrets that would shock the world if they ever surfaced. And when he said those things, the industry turned on him. His reputation collapsed. His personal struggles became headlines. He was labeled unstable, dangerous, unhinged.
I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And I formed a bunch of opinions about the town and about the people in it. And then you find out later on the track that you are exactly on track with a lot of this stuff. Some of your worst nightmares were real.
But here's the uncomfortable part. After Epstein's arrest, after the files started coming out, after documentaries began exposing trafficking networks, people went back and replayed Mel's old interviews. And suddenly, some of what he said didn't sound so crazy anymore. That's what makes this moment feel different. Because now, rumors suggest Denzel has quietly echoed similar concerns. Not in a loud press conference, not in a dramatic social media rant.
That couldn't be the reason for why so-and-so was acting like, could it? And then you find out later on the track that you are exactly on track.
But in serious conversations behind closed doors. And the alleged message is chilling. He believes the truth about Epstein's network hasn't been fully revealed. He believes powerful names are still being protected, and he reportedly warned that when information does surface, it won't be about justice, it will be about control. Think about that for a second. Control. Who gets exposed first? Who becomes the headline? Who becomes the example?
This is straight up collusion. This is Oprah passing through a message to Epstein.
When Epstein was arrested in 2019, the world was stunned. Wealthy elites, politicians, celebrities, royalty. The list of people who had crossed paths with him was massive.
And I feel like in a lot of instances, I was deliberately being put through stress.
And they do what's called a salt trap. I didn't know this. Apparently baboons love salt.
Okay.
So they put a lump of salt in a hole and they wait for the baboon. The baboon comes, sticks his hand in the hole, grabs the salt makes his hand bigger, and he's trapped. He can't get his hand out. Now, if he's smart, all he does is let go of the salt. Baboon doesn't want to let go of the salt. Then the bushman just comes, takes the baboon, throws him in the cage, and gives him all the salt he wants. And then the baboon gets thirsty, the bushman lets him out the cage. The first place the baboon runs to is water, bushman follows him, and they both drink to their fill. Yeah, in that analogy, I felt like the baboon.
But despite the size of his social circle, only a handful of names truly faced consequences, and the internet noticed. So when Oprah's name appeared in conversations online, mostly through speculation, old photos, and indirect associations, the reaction was explosive. Supporters defended her immediately. Critics demanded deeper investigation.
Oh, I forgot. That's right. You'd heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually serially assaulting young starry-eyed actresses. My bad.
But here's where things get tense. According to circulating reports, Denzel allegedly warned that if Oprah's name becomes central in any official narrative, the fallout would be historic. Not because she's the only powerful person connected to controversial figures, but because of what she represents. Oprah isn't just a celebrity, she's symbolic. She represents Black excellence, media power, billionaire success, cultural influence. Taking her down, fairly or unfairly, would send shockwaves through multiple communities at once. And Denzel, being who he is, reportedly sees the bigger picture. He has spent decades navigating Hollywood quietly, watching, learning, surviving. He's seen careers rise overnight and disappear just as fast. He's seen scandals buried and others amplified.
According to an FBI record, Epstein was possibly about to cooperate with the feds right before he died. That on July 29, 2019, his lawyers and the federal prosecutors in this case, in very general terms, discussed the possibility of a resolution of the case and the possibility of the defendant's cooperation.
So when he allegedly said that the Epstein narrative feels strategically controlled, people paid attention. But here's the twist. This isn't about defending wrongdoing. If crimes were committed, accountability should happen, period. No matter the race, no matter the fame. The real tension lies in consistency. Why do some names trend for weeks while others fade in days? Why do certain associations get dissected endlessly while others barely get mentioned? These questions are what fuel suspicion. And this is where emotions start running high. Imagine being Oprah right now. Decades of building a legacy, schools, charities, interviews that changed lives. And suddenly, your name gets dragged into a storm built around one of the most infamous criminals in modern history. Even if there's no direct evidence of wrongdoing, public perception alone can be devastating. Because once doubt enters the room, it rarely leaves quietly.
And they're some of the richest, most powerful people in this business.
And they are.
And they do not want me saying what I'm saying right now.
Are you saying that they're pedophiles?
Yes.
And that they're still in this business?
And imagine being Denzel, watching someone you've known in the industry for years get pulled into chaos, watching narratives form online at lightning speed, watching commentators turn speculation into certainty. Would you stay silent? Or would you quietly warn that something feels bigger than one person? This is why Mel Gibson's name keeps resurfacing in this conversation, because he once said Hollywood protects certain truths until it no longer benefits them to do so. He claimed exposure only happens when power structures shift. At the time, many dismissed him, but now, in the post-Epstein era, people are re-examining everything. And here's the emotional weight of it all. Trust is fragile.
When someone like Oprah builds her empire on trust, even a whisper of controversy feels like betrayal to supporters. People feel personally connected to her story. They watched her cry with guests. They saw her give away cars. They saw her uplift survivors. So when critics suggest she might have unknowingly crossed paths with darkness, it shakes something deeper than celebrity gossip. It shakes belief. But belief can also blind, and that's the tightrope this entire story walks on. Denzel's alleged warning, whether confirmed or not, speaks to a larger fear inside Hollywood that exposure isn't random, that timing matters, that narratives are crafted carefully. If the Epstein files truly contain explosive information, then the public deserves transparency across the board. Not selective leaks, not strategic headlines, full truth. Because partial truth breeds conspiracy, and conspiracy breeds chaos. The emotional impact of this story goes beyond Oprah or Denzel or Mel. It touches the broader conversation about power and protection, about race and accountability, about whether justice applies equally at the top. If Oprah is innocent of any wrongdoing, then being tied to speculation alone could damage a lifetime of work. And that's heartbreaking, because legacy takes decades to build and seconds to fracture.
If deeper connections were knowingly hidden by powerful people across industries, then accountability should be universal, not convenient. That's the crossroads we're standing at. And maybe that's why Denzel's alleged involvement hits differently, because he doesn't usually chase controversy. He avoids headlines. He protects his peace. So when his name gets linked to warnings about Epstein's network, people pause. They listen, not because they crave drama, but because they sense something serious underneath it. And here's the powerful ending nobody wants to admit. The Epstein story isn't over. Documents are still being discussed, names are still debated, and public trust in powerful institutions remains fragile. Maybe Mel Gibson wasn't entirely wrong about hidden systems protecting themselves. Maybe he exaggerated. Maybe he didn't. Maybe Denzel is simply urging caution, or maybe he sees patterns others ignore.
But one thing is clear. This isn't just about gossip anymore. It's about truth versus narrative. It's about whether fame shields you or makes you a target. And as the world continues digging through old connections and new allegations, one question lingers in the air. When the full story finally comes out, whoever it touches, will we be ready to accept it? Or will we only believe the parts that fit what we already want to think? Because in Hollywood, the spotlight doesn't just reveal. Sometimes it burns.